In this video, I'm going to tell you why every single doctor in every single medical drama should be sued for malpractice. Alright, welcome back. In this video, we're going to go over the heart electrical pathway. The heart needs to be able to contract to push blood throughout the body. Right, we need to fuel our cells with oxygen and minerals and vitamins and whatever we need it. And the way we do that is through the heart. We need to pump blood throughout the body. But how does our heart actually contract? Well, our heart is made up of many contractile muscle cells. Now, these contractile muscle cells are what do the contraction of the heart. However, they contract in response to electrical signal. And what makes that electrical signal? Well, those are called pacemaker cells. There are pacemaker cells in the heart that generate electricity. And what happens is the electricity travels down the heart, hitting every single muscle cell, which causes it to contract so we can push blood throughout the body. So the heart can generate its own electrical signal, its own electrical activity without the use of the brain. Now, for muscle cells to contract, it does require electricity. It is 1000% impossible without these cells to contract without electricity. That being said, it is possible to have electricity but without the muscle cells contracting. What do you mean by this? Well, it is possible to have the pacemaker cells functioning perfectly fine. Those are things that generate the electricity. They function perfectly fine, but maybe the muscle cells that actually do the contracting are dead or not working as intended. So that's going to come in a later video we're going to talk about, but in this video, we're going to go over the pathway. So the first thing in this pathway, I'm going to reference this picture, but on the next slide, I'm going to go over the actual pathway in words. But let me use this picture first. The first thing in this pathway is called the SA node. This is a pacemaker cell. The SA node generates electrical signals. Don't worry about the 60 to 100 beats per minute for a second. We're going to go over it in the next slide. But just know the first thing in this pathway is the SA node called Sinoatrial node. This is located in the right atrium and it generates an action potential. So before I continue, what I want to preface is that our goal is to send electricity throughout the entire heart. Not the entire heart, I should say, throughout all the atria and ventricles. We want the entire atria and ventricles to contract. Okay, so that's our goal. So the SA node generates an electrical signal, right? Boosh, electrical signal. The electrical signal, electricity, it's literally electricity, travels down and hits this AV node, which is another pacemaker cell. So it hits the AV node, which is located in the right atrium, the bottom part of the right atrium. After it hits the AV node, the electrical signal goes down, rather it kind of goes horizontally, and hits something called the bundle of His. The bundle of His is basically the center of the ventricles. After the bundle of His, it's going to get split into two. So the electrical signal is going to get split into two. It's going to go down the left-hand side and the right-hand side of the ventricles. So we're going downwards now, right? We're going down. These two pathways going down are called the bundle branches. So we're going down the right bundle branch and the left bundle branch. And our goal doing this is we're going to try to contract the bottom part of the ventricles now. After it goes down the bundle branches, the signal is actually going to go upwards now. Because we need to still take care of the upper part of the ventricles. And those are called the Purkinje Fibers, which is another pacemaker cell. So you have 3 pacemaker cells. The Purkinje Fibers are what causes the ventricles, the upper ventricles, to contract. Now, something that's not usually taught in class, which I don't know why, to be honest, it really should be, is something called the Bachmann branch. So far from this diagram, we went over this part, right? We went over the right atrium and the ventricles. But how do we actually contract the left atrium? Well, that's what we use the Bachmann branch for. So when the SA node fires and generates an electrical potential, some of that electrical potential, yes, it goes down to the AV node like normal, but some of it also goes horizontally down the Bachmann branch to contract the left atrium. All right, so this pathway here, we got the sinoatrial node, which is the SA node, goes to the AV node, which goes to the bundle of His, also known as the AV bundle. I call it bundle of His, but maybe your teacher calls it AV bundle. I like to say bundle of His because I don't want to say AV bundle and get confused with AV node, right? Then we got the left and right bundle branches. And then we finish off with the Purkinje fibers. Now, not usually on exams or taught, but the Bachmann branches is to contract the left atrium. Now let's talk about the pacemaker of the heart. The reason it's called pacemaker of the heart is because this is what sets that 60 to 100 beats per minute. If you were to take your heart rate right now, it should be between that 60 to 100 range if you didn't work out or anything like that. So the SA node is usually known as the pacemaker of the heart. The reason your heart rate is between 60 to 100 beats per minute is because the SA node, it's firing electricity every 60 to 100 times per minute. Okay? The AV node is also known as the pacemaker of the heart. But what do you mean then? Like, we have so many numbers here. What does this mean? Well, your heart has a backup system. So pretend, this is like a medical condition, if your SA node just stops working, right? Just stops working. Something happened, your SA node stops working. Your AV node can actually take over and start firing action potentials. It can now start generating its own electrical potentials. Before it did not used to. It was only the SA node. Only one pacemaker cell could start firing at once. You cannot have all three pacemaker cells firing. No. One can only fire. The one with the highest firing per minute, whatever ratio, whatever. The one that fires the fastest will take over as the pacemaker of the heart. Now, if the SA node stops working, the AV node will actually kick in, but it has limitations. It cannot fire 60 to 100 beats per minute. It can only fire 40 to 60 beats per minute. Let's say 40 to 60 beats per minute. So, a good exam question is, if you have a patient that comes in with a heart rate of, say, 45 beats per minute, you can probably safely say the SA node may not be working, right? The AV node took over. Now, if your SA node and AV node stop working, your Purkinje fibers are your last backup system. So it's basically like a backup system for a backup system. So your Purkinje fibers can take over, but they only fire from 15 to 40 beats per minute or 20 to 40 beats per minute, depending on your textbook. Now, I need to say this, 15 beats per minute, you're barely alive, okay? You're in the hospital laying down unconscious. You're not able to go to the gym and work out and live a normal life, okay? You're in the hospital bed. Because you're barely getting enough blood to fill your brain. That's what your body is doing. The reason you have such a low heart rate, this is the reason you have a backup system for the backup system, is because your body is trying any way possible to have blood going to your brain. Because your body is very smart in that it knows that if the brain goes, you're done. But if you can save the brain, you can live. That's the goal behind that. So the Purkinje fibers will start, firing. But notice that the Purkinje fibers are lower part here. So your atrium won't be contracting, or it'll be really delayed. Because the signal's coming from here, right? It has to go up this way. Now, let's talk about medical dramas. Okay, you probably have seen this at some time in your life if you ever watch TV. But they have a flatlining patient, and all the doctors and nurses come in, and they're like, all right, we need to shock the patient, charging up the defibrillator, and they shock the patient. And the patient's flatlining, right? and then magically they're back to life, usually. Well, in real life, that's called malpractice. You cannot do that. It is 100% impossible to shock a flatlining patient and have them come back. It does not work. The reason is because your heart is like a battery. Okay, so say if your car battery is completely dead, like completely dead. No matter how many jump starts you actually give it, nothing's gonna happen. You need a new battery. Okay? Kind of like the heart. You don't really need a heart transplant, but what you need is CPR. So no matter how many times you shock a flatlining patient, nothing will happen. You need to do CPR. For you to shock someone, they must have some electrical activity. There needs to be some electrical activity flowing through the heart for you to actually shock a patient. So no matter how many times you do it to a flatlining patient, do not, okay? It's really bad. That's called malpractice. Okay? The reason you do CPR is you're trying to get blood first. First, you're trying to get blood pumping to the brain, right? So you survive, you don't go brain dead. But you're also hoping that it actually starts the electrical pathway up. You're hoping the SA node, the AV node, or even the Purkinje fibers start firing up again. That's your hope. That's why you do CPR, and you don't shock. So in medical dramas, this is usually always the case. They don't do CPR, they do shock because, that's cooler to see, I guess, for TV. So that's why the good doctor should be called the bad doctor, right? Because he ain't no good doctor if he's shocking the patient that's flatlining. So yeah. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. And until next time, later.